Starting. Yep. And we're live. How about that? Welcome back, everybody, to the Top 2 podcast. I am your main host for the night, Eric Adams. I'm filling in for Matt, who's on vacation in California. Hi, Matt. Joining me tonight is a good friend of the pod and Top 2 staff writer, Josh Padgett. Josh, how you doing tonight?
Not too bad. What's up, everybody?
All right. Just a little update. With Matt in California, we're down to one show this week. We'll be back to 2 episodes next week. And yeah, so clearly this is my first time actually hosting the whole pod because I'm a little nervous and I'm a little jittery, but we'll get through that. The Top 2 social media is at Top 2 Sports. This is the at Top 2 Pod. Matt is over there at Top 2 Matt. I'm at Top 2 Eric. Josh is over there on Twitter at JPadgett94. All right, now that that's all out of the way, let's get to the football part, which is the easy part. All right, Josh, we got a Thursday night football preview right now. We are broadcasting at 8:48 p.m. on Thursday night. So yeah, this Dolphins-Texan game is going on as we speak, and it's a little yuck, but it's a pretty big game for both teams. They're both 4-3. Brocktober continues. The Brocket ship ready to take off.
Yeah.
Field goal range already, so that's nice. Texans are winners of 4 straight. Josh, who do you got in this game right off the bat?
Oh, I got the Texans for sure. I'm worried about anything this Miami offense can do against his defense. Although you're right, they're headed for the red zone right now. So, I just think the Texans have a better quarterback situation and a better defense. So I'm going to lean on that to have them come out on top.
I agree. And it's worth noting that Keke Coutee is out, which is terrible for one of my fantasy teams because now I'm starting. I think Kyle Juszczyk. I still can't say this guy's name.
The Juszczyk? Oh no!
Yeah, I have to start him. So that's fun. It's really not, but yeah. So
that's a deep league.
What was that?
That's a deep league.
Yeah.
If you're starting Juszczyk anywhere,
16 teams. Oof. Rough. But yeah, so that game will be on in the background. I really don't want to spend too much time on that because it's a little yucky and I don't really care about it. But it's got playoff implications, so we'll see how that goes. Before we jump into notes heading into Week 8, we got a promo code TOP2 for draft, which is Daily Fantasy Sports. I know Matt usually does the promos, but he plays draft a lot. I have a couple best ball leagues on draft. It's a lot of fun. If you use the promo code TOP2, you'll get a free $3 game with your first deposit. So promo code TOP2 for draft. And with that, let's get into the news and notes, shall we, Josh?
Let's do it.
We have not been on air since last Thursday. So wide receiver Amari Cooper was traded to Dallas for a first-round pick. Josh, what are your thoughts on the whole trade? Because there's a lot to digest with this.
Yeah, this is the biggest news we've had since last Thursday. I like the trade for Oakland because they got a first-round pick, which is more than they should have got. I don't like what Oakland is doing overall, though. I think they're going to be a very bad team for a very long time. Luckily, John Gruden's got 10 years. I like it for Dallas. I think Cooper has all the talent in the world. I think he can contribute to that offense.
Yeah, I got crucified for saying this put Dallas in the driver's seat on Twitter. The Skins fans came out of the woodwork trying to crucify me for saying that this put Dallas a little over the top. Now maybe I jumped the gun.
Well, I don't know. I think we'll get there because I think the Giants knock off the Skins and hurt their playoff hopes a big time this weekend. So
yeah,
I think you're right. I agree.
I mean, I'm just not willing to throw my hat into the Redskins' corner. I just can't do that. I really can't. I don't.
Yeah.
They won by 3. They probably shouldn't have even won because if he makes the kick, they go to overtime. Then who knows what happens? I mean, I'm not. Maybe Washington would prove me wrong. I will say this: Washington's defense is a lot better than I thought it would be. I'm still not willing to count out Philly because who knows what they're going to do. They have to get it right at some point. That whole division is just so.
Yep.
I like the trade. I like the trade for actually both sides, because like you said, I didn't see the Raiders getting a first round pick for Amari. That blows my mind. And Dallas was desperate enough to give a first round pick, but I think this is the point I was trying to make on Twitter. It knocks Michael Gallup down in the peg. It knocks Cole Beasley back into the slot. He doesn't have to be a wide receiver 2 now. He could be the slot receiver that he really thrives as, and Michael Gallup can move over to the wide receiver 2 spot. It has an impact as a whole, even if Amari's not doing anything on the offense. Plus, that's not even mentioning what it does for Zeke. Now Zeke doesn't have to face a loaded box every single time they're going to run. So I definitely think it helps them out. We'll see what happens with the coaching staff, because the coaching staff and even the regression of the offensive line is what's going to hurt Dallas in the long run. All right.
Yeah. Just to touch on Gallup really quick, though, I think Gallup's stock goes up dynasty-wise.
Yeah.
Pre-draft, I didn't love him. I think he's a wide receiver, too, and I think now that he's in that role, he can really Gallup right now, actually.
Yeah. Absolutely. I definitely like Michael Gallup a lot more going forward, because as the only guy in that offense, I can't trust that rookie. Like I don't care who the rookie is. I can't trust him.
No, yeah.
But now I like Michael Gallup a lot more. The second trade of the week was running back Carlos Hyde traded to the Jags for a 5th round pick. And do you hear that? That is Leonard Fournette owners crying. He's out until after the bye week, week 10. Doesn't even sound like they know if he's going to come back after the bye week in week 10. Josh, real quick in the short term here, would you rather have Carlos Hyde or would you rather have TJ Yeldon?
Oh, that's tough. A lot of Yeldon. And he was working out real well for me all season, but he's going to get the volume. Yeldon is the PPR guy, but I don't know him enough that's going to be valuable. I just think Hyde's going to get that volume with Yeldon being tier 2.
That's fair. Yeah, the Jags are in such a weird spot. They really are in just the weirdest spot right now. I like Hyde. I like Yeldon. I guess I'm going to go with Hyde because, if you're going to trade for him, you might as well use him. But like you said, Yeldon was performing very well. What the Jags need to do is they need to get their O-line healthy, because without the O-line that they spent a lot of money on going in workout, they're fighting for their season this weekend, by the way. If they lose this weekend, I think all hope goes out the window for the Jags. All right.
Yeah.
Running back Sony Michel is week to week with a knee injury. I don't even know if it's an MCL injury. This is New England, people. We don't know what they're dealing with. They don't tell us anything. Mm-hmm. Reportedly, 2 weeks. Kenyon Barner. Josh, how you feeling about Kenyon Barner as a fill-in for this week?
I was looking at my waiver wires, and I was going to ask, because I have no clue, and I don't really want to play him.
Yep. See, he's one of those guys where you're going to play Russian roulette with him. All right. If you're going to pick him up, you're going to think about it all week. You're going to be like, should I start this guy? Oh, he could get 2 touchdowns because New England gets down by the goal line a lot. Or it could just be straight James White. Also, they have Kenneth Farrow on the practice squad. They're talking about possibly bringing him up. And my advice, stay away from it. Just stay away from it. I don't know if he's going to score 2 touchdowns or no touchdowns and not even have a role in the game. I would just stay all away from Kenyon Barner. If you have James White, fire him up because he's the one that you want to own. Staying with New England here, tight end Rob Gronkowski was not practicing Wednesday. He returned on Thursday. He was in a limited capacity. I wrote here in the outline, Josh, to look for a replacement for Gronk in Week 8. I'm going to take that back now because I looked at Gronk's numbers in Buffalo. He kills in Buffalo. Like, he does really well in Buffalo. The only thing is that I'm nervous about is with the back injury. You never know. They could not even need him for this Monday night game because the Bills are just hapless. I mean, they do have a decent defense, and that's been their calling card, but they're just such a train wreck. Do you really think they're going to need Gronk that much? If you want to find a replacement for Gronk, I don't blame you. It's a weird spot. It's a Monday night. I don't even think you're going to want to start Charles Clay, so you're probably going to have to decide a day ahead of time on Sunday. Josh, would you fire up Gronk or would you try to find a replacement?
I'm absolutely gonna fire up Gronk unless you have a guy on your bench already. Waiver wire option, the upside is just too high. Like you said, he absolutely annihilates the Bills. He had like what 5 for 120 and a touchdown last time he saw him, and he will do that again if the game is even relatively close. So I'm firing him up.
All right, all right. I will lean towards firing him up. Why? Because it's Gronk. So agreed. Moving on to
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell. Moving on to Le'Veon Bell here. There's still no Le'Veon Bell. And so another week happens. Trade deadline is Tuesday, October 30th. Why did I write that in the outline, people? Because he's not going to come back before Tuesday, October 30th. There's no chance in Hades that he's coming back before Tuesday, October 30th. The report before the season was week 10. We're week 8 here. This will be going into week 9 after the trade deadline. Me, I have James Conner in my money league. Le'Veon, go take another vacation. Just don't even come back. I'm fine with you not coming back. But Josh, he's got to come back at some point, right? Like, there's no way he stays out the whole year.
Yeah, I have trouble believing that he stays and he won't report here soon. I don't know. We'll 10. He's got to come back. He probably doesn't have to play. I mean, he can find a way to Weasley really wants to. Go down on the first play and hold your knee, and you know, I don't like the whole situation at this point.
Yeah,
For fantasy though, there's still a buy window, I guess, because he's not back yet.
that's fair. That's fair. Oh man, if he fakes an injury, that'd be oh, that would get really ugly.
That would be ugly.
If I'm the Steelers, I understand you're paying him all that money. All right, I understand you're giving him. Even if he comes back in time for Week 10, you're still going to be paying him like $6 million. Somewhere around like $6 to $8 million. If you're obviously paying somebody that much money, you're going to obviously play him. But it's not like Connor's been bad. He's been just as good, if not better, than Le'Veon Bell. He's the future. Who's to say the Steelers just look at Le'Veon and be like, you know what? You can take a seat on the bench. If we get to a point where injuries, attrition has a toll on us, then you can come back in. But right now, we don't really want you messing with the chemistry of the team. I think the Steelers are on the uptick. The Ravens fumbled away a golden opportunity to beat a very good team last week at home. The Bengals got smacked against Kansas City, which I just knew would happen. And the Browns, as much as I love the Brownies, no, that's not going to happen. So I think if the Steelers really get serious about making the playoffs here, this is not the time for Le'Veon Bell. This is going to be a very interesting situation to watch when he returns. Moving on to New York Jets running back Bilal Powell with his neck injury. He's going on IR, so not great for the Jets. Eli McGuire and Trenton Cannon are viable pickups. Obviously, Isaiah Crowell. I almost just said Chris Ivory. I almost just called Isaiah Crowell Chris Ivory because they're literally the same person. Isaiah Crowell is obviously the starter. If you have him, you're kind of happy about that Bilal Powell news, even though we should never be happy when somebody goes on IR. And Eli McGuire. Josh, do you like Eli McGuire more? Or do you like Trenton Cannon more?
I don't think either of them are going to be as relevant as one might hope. I think McGuire is going to get a lot more volume than Cannon. I haven't seen much of any news on Cannon, honestly. So, with him, I guess Crowell's going to just get the lion's share of all the volume at this point.
Okay. I need to pick up one of those guys in the 16-team league because Sony Michel just got hurt, and I'm starting Juszczyk, as I said. Terrible. All right. Buffalo quarterback Derek Anderson will start Monday night versus the Patriots. Josh, we're firing up the Patriots D, correct?
Did you see what the Colts defense did to Derek Anderson? The Patriots defense is much better. So yes.
Absolutely. Staying in Buffalo, running back LaShawn McCoy with his concussion, he actually practiced on a limited basis Thursday. He is the only Bill I would consider starting this week. If he plays, I would start him because he's probably the only viable weapon. I understand the Patriots have a knack for maybe zeroing in on another team's biggest weapon. That's definitely McCoy, but I gotta believe he'll get like somewhere between 10 to 14 points in a PPR league. So I think you'd be safe starting him. If he doesn't play, I wouldn't start any of the Bills. Literally none of the Bills. But if he plays,
I'm actually against that opinion a little bit. I really like Marcus Murphy. I liked what I saw from him at the game last week. He caught 6 passes. He could be a viable option in deeper leagues where you need some PPR help, especially. So just a guy to throw out there.
okay. Is Chris Ivory banged up? Because why do I feel like Chris? I think I saw him on the limited to open practice this week. So yeah, Marcus Murphy. Now that you're saying it, viable option. Watch him in the deeper leagues. Certainly, possibly a good pickup. And this kind of sucks because this guy was about to break out, or at least was breaking out. Miami wide receiver Albert Wilson, who would be playing tonight, is not playing tonight because he went on IR with a hip injury. Kenny Stills is also out for Thursday Night Football. I understand this is too late to say, but if you have Houston's defense, you probably should start them in hindsight. Although, now that I'm looking at it, I see the Dolphins have a touchdown already. So, who knows? Although, I think Houston did something positive because J.J. Watt was just celebrating on the sidelines, trying to juggle the live cast and trying to see what's going on here. So Kenyon Drake rushed for a touchdown. Holy crap. Okay. Moving on. Yep. Houston wide receiver Kiki Kuti is out with a hamstring, as I said. Josh, this is a perfect opportunity to check in on our boy Will Fuller because he's having an interesting season. He's missed a couple games, I believe. I think he missed maybe 2. He is currently at 27 receptions, 379 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Josh, what is the pulse check on Will Fuller? Are we still behind him, or are we starting to fade him a little bit with the emergence of Kiki Kuti? Is it possibly the O-line's fault because he doesn't have enough time to throw to him as in Deshaun Watson? How do you feel about Will Fuller at the moment?
I'm not the touchdown per game with Deshaun Watson was always going to regress at some point. I'm not buying him. I would definitely say hold and wait for something to happen in that offense because you're right. Kiki Kuti has looked really good. As much as I hate to say it, to give Matt his props, but I still think Fuller's the wide receiver too, and I think that connection with Watson is real. I don't know what's inhibiting it lately, but you'd like to in just in those touchdowns again. Truthfully,
yeah, I still like Will Fuller. I agree. I would hold. They need to get an O-line. Once they get better pieces on that offensive line, I feel like everything for that offense is just going to open up a lot more with Fuller as the wide receiver 2. Hopkins obviously is the 1, and then Kuti in the slot. That is a dangerous offense. Just Houston, for the love of God, this offseason, get an offensive line. That's all it takes. Josh, bad news. This is bad. This is like crisis territory. Indianapolis kicker Adam Vinatieri with his groin injury missed practice Wednesday. Significant because he is 5 points away from becoming the all-time leading scorer. Josh, this can't happen. Can't happen. He needs to play. He needs to play. How are we going about this? I'm freaking out.
He'll play.
I don't know.
He'll play. He played last week. He looked really bad against the Bills. Missed a couple kicks. I think the groin was probably bothering him, and that's probably why he looked so bad. So I'm not sure I'm too worried about him missing time. But I certainly am worried about just the quality of the performance that he can put on, and if he is really starting to let Father Time catch up here, because that would be a worry.
I agree. Adam and Terry, please play. The NFL is better when you are on the field. Washington running back Chris Thompson has a rib and knee injury, and Washington wide receiver Paul Richardson with his knee and shoulder injury. They are both confident that they will return against the Giants this weekend. Josh, Chris Thompson and Adrian Peterson have been interesting when they're both on the field this year. I feel like in spurts, both have been successful. From this point forward, and it looks like Washington, even though I was down on them at the beginning of the episode, they're going to be contending. They're going to be in meaningful games going forward. Contending for the NFC East. I definitely don't think whoever wins that division is not winning the Super Bowl. But going forward, Josh, who would you rather have, Chris Thompson or Adrian Peterson? We'll say half-point PPR.
I assume remainder of the year because, Dynasty, it's obviously Chris Thompson. I love that Redskins RB situation because I love that offensive line. They do not get enough talk as one of the best offensive lines in the league. Weekly upside is Adrian Peterson and safety is Chris Thompson. Not that he doesn't have upside himself, but Adrian Peterson can go off for 2 touchdowns at any given time. So I'm going Peterson, just because the upside, and I'm always going to lean upside. So, not that I don't want Chris Thompson.
Okay. I had a friend text me. His name is Christian. Hello, Christian. I'm not sure if he watches at all, but he got offered a trade in a standard league, mind you. That is very important here. It was Chris Thompson and John Brown for Adrian Peterson. He had Adrian Peterson, and I told him to keep Peterson. Do you agree with that, or would you have taken that trade?
Oh, I love John Brown. He is absolutely a stud. Man, I'm taking Brown. I'm taking Brown for sure because, he is a wide receiver 2 this year. He has scored a lot of points. I think he's the best receiver on that Baltimore roster, and I don't think it's close. We've been waiting for this for a long time with Brown, so I'm buying Brown. And if all it costs is Adrian Peterson and I get Chris Thompson as gravy, I'm definitely doing that.
Well, Christian, if you're watching this, I apologize because you just sold me. Oh, man. Should have told him to accept that, but standard, man, that threw me all off. Get out of the standard leagues, people. Standard sucks. It's PPR. All right. Minnesota running back Dalvin Cook is out until week 11. Josh, Latavius Murray is a must-play going forward, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Especially in plus matchups when they're going to be running the ball a lot. They've proven that they like to run the ball because I don't know if Kirk Cousins is still adjusting or what, but they want to run the ball, and Murray's going to get all those carries. Even when Cook comes back, Murray's probably still going to be an option.
I think he should still be an option because if Cook's missing all this time, I said it at the beginning of the season when he's coming off the ACL injury, I'm like, I don't know if I want to throw him right in there and just hope for the best. He didn't play that well when he was playing. Oh, man, if Matt's going to watch this, he's going to hear what we just said about Dalvin Cook, and he's just going to cry himself to sleep now. That's just such a tragic start to Dalvin Cook's career. I'm so sad for the guy. Hopefully next year he gets it. This year, it seems like a lost season for Dalvin. Not a lost season for LA wide receiver Cooper Kupp, who has his MCL sprain. He is doubtful to play versus Green Bay. I was telling a friend of mine because I have two friends who are Rams fans here, and yes, they are real Rams fans. They did not switch when they went to LA. They've been Rams fans for the long haul. I told them, I'm like, I don't even think they need Cooper Kupp to beat the Packers. I don't think the Packers have been that great this year. The Rams are home. Josh Reynolds is a fine fill-in, but even without counting Reynolds, you still got Robert Woods, still got Brandon Cooks, still got Gurley. Josh, they don't need Cooper Kupp to beat Green Bay, right?
No, they absolutely don't. You're right. Green Bay has been struggling. I think an interesting thing to look at this week with Kupp out is the targets that are freed up for Gerald Everett. I would love to see something from him this week while he's got an opportunity. So be watching for him.
He's the tight end, right?
Yep, him and Higbee, but I don't like Higbee.
They they have one of the best O lines in the league. I would consider Goff one of the best quarterbacks in the league at the moment because he's just, I mean, you can call it system all you want, but he's lighting it up. They have some of the best receivers. They have probably the best running back. It seems like the only thing missing from that Rams offense is tight end. And so I am with you. I would love to see Everett do. I want them to get something from the tight end position. That would just make this offense even more fun to watch. But yeah, Everett certainly going forward. You hope to get something out of tight end, and even if you don't, honestly, they'll be fine. All right. So
Yeah.
Josh, before we go to start sit here, just a reminder to hit subscribe, rate, and review on Podbean, YouTube, all those good stuff that we have the podcast up on. If you leave us a review, it means a lot to us. We always read them, I swear. Leave 5 stars if you like, subscribe. We really appreciate when you guys do that. All right, Josh, let's get into some start sit questions here. This one comes from friend of the pod, Levi Andrew, at Levi Andrew FF on Twitter. He wants to know Andy Dalton versus Tampa Bay or Joe Flacco at Carolina. Who are you going here?
Dalton, and it's not real close. I like the way Dalton's been playing. AJ Green and Tyler Boyd are both having great seasons. Flacco does not have the quality of weapons that Dalton does, and he's playing a tougher defense. So give me Dalton all day.
Yeah, Carolina's defense is weird. I still don't know what to think of Carolina as a team. You go out and you lay an egg against Washington, and then you go into Philly and beat them on a 21-point comeback. But I agree. I'm not starting Flacco against Carolina. That's just on the road. That's a no, especially when Dalton's at home facing a very bad Tampa Bay team. Levi, Andy Dalton, all the way there. This one comes from Robert Thomas at rthomas2734 on Twitter. He is in a 6-point touchdown league, so I'm assuming that's for quarterbacks since I wrote it. He wants to know Andy Dalton versus Tampa Bay or Jameis Winston at Cincinnati. So the quarterback matchup in that matchup, Josh, who are you taking there?
This one's a lot tougher.
Yes.
I'm interested to hear your take, and I'll bounce off of you.
All right. I have Jameis Winston in my money league. All right. I wrote for my my article for Top 2 Sports this week for the QB start sit. I actually had both of them as a start. Now, for Dalton, I'm confident. I'm very confident what Dalton's going to do against Tampa Bay. Like, I think he's going to be easily a QB1 this week. Winston, the only reason I'm confident in Winston is because of the weapons, and it starts and ends there. I'm worried about Winston going into Cincinnati. I'm really worried that, like, Cincinnati always plays better at home. Their defense, it's not perfect, but it doesn't get enough credit. They have had some injuries recently, but I really think Cincinnati's kind of tough to play in Cincinnati. It also can help that Jameis still turns the ball over quite a bit. I will lean Dalton. I would rather go Dalton, but I think the higher ceiling might be Winston.
I'm with you. The floor is absolutely Dalton. While you were talking, I was sitting here thinking to myself for a reason of why I should play Jameis because I love Jameis. And the reason is because Ronald Jones is the starting running back this week right now. Peyton Barber is recovering from a little bit of an injury. I don't know that he'll play. If he doesn't, Jameis is going to have to throw that ball 40-plus times, and that's nothing but good things with the little few bad things mixed in there. But I like the Mike Evans touchdowns that I'm seeing in my imagination right now. So if I have to choose, fire up Winston if you absolutely need a win, and you don't look like you're going to get it. But if you've got better skill position players, I'm okay firing up Dalton too, like you said.
I agree. Real quick on Winston, because me and Matt are just, like you said, you like them. You like Winston. There's a lot of guys on Twitter that love Winston. I'm not the biggest fan of Winston. I know that. But this year, I got to stop and give him credit because he has been very good. I believe it's the first 2 weeks he's played. Yeah, he played against the Browns and then the Falcons. I know those aren't world beaters on defense, but still, Winston's played very well this season. I just got to give him a little credit. Matt's gonna hate what I just did, but hey, I came out and said Mixon was actually a good running back. I have to come out and say Winston has been playing pretty well this season, even though he is turning the ball over still. I don't like that, but he's had a good season up until now. This one is also from Robert Thomas. This is a 12-team PPR league. He needs 2. And Josh, honestly, this question might already be answered because one of the options did not practice practice for the Colts today. But anyways, needs 2. Marlon Mack at Oakland, Kerryon Johnson versus Seattle, or Nick Chubb at Pittsburgh. Marlon Mack did not practice today. It was just a random DNP on a Thursday. Never a good sign. Josh, let's say Mack plays, obviously, because if he doesn't, then we don't have a question here. So Mack plays on Sunday. Who you got with these 2?
Well, let's rank them. We'll go Kerryon against a very bad Seattle defense. I think he's the must start of these 3. Then obviously Chubb over Mack, because Chubb's just going to get the volume. Even if Mack were completely healthy, I would not be thrilled to start him. He looked really good last week, but Hines is just too much of a threat to his volume and too much of a threat to his fantasy opportunities. Kerryon has very quickly and surprisingly locked down that Detroit backfield. Blunt is nowhere to be seen, and Riddick has not done much. So I'm pretty comfortable starting Kerryon every week at this point. Chubb is just a volume monster now that Hyde is out of his way.
You made me feel a lot better about Nick Chubb because I'm starting him in my money league, and I'm just like, they're in Pittsburgh, and they're probably pissed because they tied the Browns last time. But I agree. I definitely think Chubb's going to get the volume. And Johnson, yeah, Johnson's the must start. I'll agree with you. I'll go Kerryon Johnson and Nick Chubb. If Mack were healthy, this would be a little bit more difficult, but the whole DMP thing, even if he does play, that just makes me nervous. So Johnson and Chubb it is. And this is from my good friend Tom, who is not on Twitter. I was just at his house the other day, and he asked me, who should I start? And I looked at it, and I'm like, good God, I'm sending this to the pod because I have no idea who to pick here. Half-point people. Chris Godwin at Cincinnati, John Brown at Carolina, or Devin Funchess versus Baltimore. Josh, who are we going here? No, right? This is difficult. This is a difficult choice.
Yeah, I probably could stare at this one for 10 minutes. Gut is John Brown. I don't think that he's head and shoulders above Michael Crabtree enough that they're going to shift coverage his way. So, whereas I think Baltimore is going to be, and Baltimore's the best defense here in this question. So that takes Funchess out of it for me. The one thing I worry about with Godwin is Evans and Deshaun Jackson. I'm happiest with John Brown's volume, and that's why I'm going to start him, but not comfortably. Any of those guys could have 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, oh man. I definitely agree with Baltimore being the best defense, but I feel like Funchess is just I never know with him. This is why I don't draft Funchess, because I knew he would do this crap this season where it's like, I don't want to start him this week. He has 2 touchdowns. It's just can't start Funchess against Baltimore. I agree with that. Deshaun Jackson's not much of a factor for me with Godwin because he just doesn't do anything with Winston. But there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense, including O.J. Howard, who Jameis is all of a sudden throwing to, which I like. So, yeah, I will agree with you. I'll go around. He just seems to be on the hottest streak right now. But in Carolina, it does worry me just a tad. All right, Josh. That's all for Start Sit. We're going to move on to our top 2 games of the week. But before we do that, we got a Fantasy Champs promo here. We got Fantasy Champs, which is your one-stop shop for all your belts and jerseys and trophies and even losers trophies. They sell like little toilet bowl trophies for last place. That's nice. Uh, Fantasy Champs promo code top2 will get you 10% off your order. You got to have some merchandise at the end of the season, people. So what are you waiting for? Get off to Fantasy Champs and get all your belts, jerseys. I want a jersey. We're going to get a jersey. So Fantasy Champs, promo code top2. All right, Josh, let's jump into our top 2 games of the week. I'm going to start us off with Eagles-Jaguars in good old Wembley Stadium for like the 3rd week in a row, which is a little weird. I like this game. I had the pick of the draw. I texted you saying, these 2 games obviously we're going to need to talk about, but I do want to talk about this one because these 2 teams are just in turmoil. They're going to be at each other's throats. I see it getting chippy because both teams just are definitely talkers. London, Eagles, Jags. Jags defense has had it put on them the past 2 weeks. Even though 20 points isn't bad against Houston, they were home. That was bad. They benched Blake Bortles. Bad look for the Blake Bortles fan club. The Eagles blew a 17-point lead after running like once with a 17-point lead in the 4th quarter last week. It all makes for a very interesting game starting at 9:30 a.m. on the East Coast for me, which is, I'll take it, football all day. Josh?
Yeah.
Eagles or Jaguars? Who saves their season?
Oh, I'm more confident in the Eagles coaching staff. And I like that you brought this game up first because while it isn't necessarily the 2 best teams, it is absolutely the most important game, playoff implication wise. And I do think the Eagles pull it out. To bounce back from a tough loss last week.
It was definitely tough. I'm gonna agree. I've been saying all season it looked good after the Eagles got back to 3-3 after beating the Giants. I'm like, the Eagles are a little too good to be fooling around like this. Like, I hate them for last year. Don't get me wrong, but they're way too talented of a roster to be just toying with the NFC East right now. Their defensive line is easily the best in the East, which is really saying something because Washington and Dallas have incredible D-lines, but they really should be getting after the quarterback more. I know the running back injury hurts, but I got to believe the Eagles got to get it right at some point, and if they don't this week, I think I'm going to jump off the bandwagon. All right, Josh, what's your first top 2 game of the week?
Let's start with New Orleans and Minnesota, rematch of the NFC title game. This is going to be a big-time fun one. I expect plenty of scoring. I expect another last-second finish because that would be fun. And I expect a huge game from Michael Thomas, a not-so-huge game from Stephon Diggs.
I think, listen, going into the season, it was tough to rank Thielen and Diggs. It's not tough to rank Thielen and Diggs anymore. Thielen is far and away the better one. I thought that before the season. I think it tenfold now, and it's nothing to do with Diggs' talent. It's just how good Thielen's been. I agree. Michael Thomas should have a big game. You ready for this, Josh? Bold prediction? I think the Saints blow them out.
I
think they blow them out in Minnesota. I think the Saints are pissed. They had no business losing that playoff game last year. If they don't lose that playoff game last year, they probably beat the Eagles. They go on to the Super Bowl, and we get a Breeze Brady Super Bowl, which I've been waiting for forever. And instead, the Vikings have that play happen, and the rest is history. I think the Saints are pissed. I think they're getting it going at the right time right now. I think the Saints beat them by at least 2 touchdowns. I hope I'm wrong because I want to see a good game. I want to see a good game, but I'm going to go out on that limb. All right. My second top 2 game of the week, and I'm going to get some sideways looks here because this is definitely not the most important, but it's the one I'm very interested in. Redskins at the Giants, 1 p.m. I've taken a lot of flack for saying the Cowboys are in the driver's seat, all right? I sent this tweet out after the Amari Cooper trade, after the Redskins beat the Cowboys last week, only by 3, by the way, which the Washington fans think they beat them by 20.
Mm-hmm.
People seem to be jumping on the Redskins right now. They have a point. They have a very good defense. Their offense is nothing special, but they can grind you out on the ground. I think this is the week the Redskins are going to stumble hard and lose to the Giants. I have no business trusting the Giants in this game. Really none. But I feel like this is just the type of game where after a really good game, a really good win for the Redskins last week against the Cowboys, they're going to go into MetLife Stadium and they're going to have a letdown. I just think the Giants are going to pull this out. Josh, what do you think?
I am right there with you. I think that this is a stumbling block for the Redskins. They've proven that they can lose to bad teams because they lost to my Colts early in the season, 21-9 in a very unspectacular fashion. I don't know if it's because they're not getting up for the games. I don't know if it's because I don't know. I don't trust Alex Smith. I don't trust that whole offense. The Giants have so many playmakers. Any one of them could win you a game. Barkley, Beckham, either one of them could win this game, and I think both of them combined to I think this is a loss for the Redskins, and I agree with you. I think that puts Dallas in a good spot.
There we go. So I'm not alone on that boat. Okay. It felt very lonely on that boat when I sent that tweet out, but now I feel better. All right, Josh, finish this up strong. What's your final top 2 game of the week here?
I think this will be a fun one. You said earlier that Jared Goff is one of your top QBs in the league, and I have no reason to disagree with you. I think he proves that when he outduels Aaron Rodgers this week in the Rams and Packers game. I think that the Packers defense is just not going to be able to handle that Rams offense. McVay is a genius, and Mike McCarthy's an idiot, and I think that's what it comes down to here.
Yeah, this is oof. I'm very excited to watch this because this has to be the game that Aaron Rodgers circles, underlines twice, and goes, if you want to actually be taken seriously in the NFC, you're going to have to win this game. And I know this is an extremely tough spot, but listen, it's not much, but Cooper Kupp being out, you'll take it. It's like they're not at full strength. They're also missing Aqib Talib on the other side of the ball. It's about as good a chance as you're going to find here. If the Packers really want to be taken seriously as NFC contenders, they need to win this game. But they will not win this game. I'm taking the Rams. I think the Rams are a better team. I think the Rams are the best team in the NFC. I think the Rams are probably the best team in the NFL. So I just hope for a good game, but I think the Rams are just far and away better than the Packers. And with that comes the end of our live stream. Josh, thank you very much for coming on, filling in for Matt. It was almost like he wasn't here, which is a great thing. We got to get you back on. He's not going to like that shot, but we definitely have to get you back on soon. We haven't had enough guests this season. It's just been juggling everything. I think we've only had 2 guests. I think you're the 3rd. But you're very good, always professional, always great to get your insight. Thank you very much for coming on, bud.
Glad to do it, my friend.
Yes, sir. And with that, just a reminder to hit subscribe, rate, and review. And with that, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Later, taters.